In this video, we're going to look at EBSCO Host, which is another academic database. I'm going to access it from my Google Classroom, and it's a really good idea to just go ahead and bookmark this in your Google Chrome. That way, every time you log into your Google Chrome browser, you have access to the site. Here I'll enter our high school's logon, Chino High, with the password. Now you'll note that I can sign in with my own account. That gives me some options like using the folder, setting preferences, and things like that. It's something I've actually never done, but if you explore it, by all means, tell me how it goes. So here we are at the Choose Databases page, and I'm going to go ahead and select All, and then press Continue. Here you'll note that again we have an Advanced Search button. However, that Advanced Search doesn't really give us any extra options. You'll find that when you go to college, it will give you the same options just like the Academic OneFile, with the ability to add additional rows to do an advanced search. Still, I can use logical operators to do the same basic search that I did in the Academic OneFile. So again, I'm going to say Uyghur, or, and note that I have to capitalize that as a logical operator, otherwise it won't recognize it as such. And then I'm going to say and. I'm going to go ahead and cast another wide net. Again, I'll probably want to limit these search results further as I define my project, but right now I'm just going to go ahead and do a very basic search just for the group to see what comes up. So you'll see that I get about 63 results. Again, we'll want to limit these by full text and by scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And you'll notice that brings it down to 5. Here again I have an article about language. As we noted before, that's something I'm interested in, so that could be very useful to me. Here's one about education that could be related. And you'll note it says bilingual education, so that's definitely one that might talk about the Han and the Uyghur as they clash in the field of education. Let's go back to where we have quite a number of results. You'll notice again that you have options to limit your search by subject, by publication, so that would be our journals. If we take off the scholarly peer-reviewed journals, you'll notice that we have more results. We have things like periodicals in here. Periodicals aren't necessarily a bad source to use, but we need to be more cautious about using those because they are less academic, less scholarly than the other journals that we found that are peer-reviewed. If you're going to use a periodical, you'll want to make sure that you use the CREP test to determine whether or not it's a credible source. Taking the full text limiter off probably isn't going to do us much good because that's going to confine us to accessing abstracts and short introductions. I probably can't find any information that will be useful to me. I might find articles that seem very promising that way, that I might want to try to search in Academic OneFile or in Google Scholar, but this is going to give us such limited information in this particular database that it's not terribly useful to us here. It seems like there really isn't much of a reason to go ahead and limit the search further, since we have such a small number of search results and an even smaller number of search results when we turn on that peer-reviewed journal article button. One more thing I can show you before we move on is how to save these articles to Google Drive, because you can automatically just save them right to your drive without having to download and then upload them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one since it seems like it might be something useful to me. And rather than downloading the PDF full text, I'm going to open up the page that'll show us all the information about the articles. A few handy things in this page, you'll notice we have author-supplied keywords, and that might be useful to us as we go through and try to limit our searches more in other databases. We have subject terms, we have geographic terms as well. And then we have our brief snippet, the author's abstract, that tells us more about this article and whether or not we want to use it. On the right-hand side, we do have citation tools, and that can be really useful. As you'll remember, we're using APA for this particular paper since we're writing in the social sciences domain. This can be really useful for your references page. You'll notice it does a great job of actually putting this into the appropriate format, although you may want to be cautious and double-check that it's done it correctly. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up this PDF full text. I actually don't want to print from here because printing is just going to give me the bibliographic information. I actually want to access the full article, so I'll click on the PDF full text. Now that I've got it open as a PDF in this window, I can go ahead and print to Google Drive. If the destination does not default to save to Google Drive, I can change that by clicking the Change button for the destination. And you'll see right there, I've got the option to save to Google Drive. Then I just need to click Save, and it's automatically going to print it to the main area of my drive. From there, I'll want to drag and drop it into my project file, and I'll want to rename it so that I have a clear idea what it is. So that's EBSCO Host in a nutshell. If you find yourself needing to limit your results more, you can enter in additional search terms using those logical operators. And I'm just going to go back to the main search to show you that. So for example, I could limit this to language and see what it brings up. And there it sorted out those articles that are specific to my subject. In addition, I could change this to education, and here we have a different sorting of those same articles. So if you find yourself with quite a number of articles in the EBSCO Host database after limiting to full text and scholarly peer-reviewed journals, you'll want to use these operators to limit down your search in here as well, just like we did in Academic One file.